Well, you know, Emma got jerked around a lot towards the end of the season, and she went through, I think, a lot of, you know, soul searching, if you will, in terms of how she felt, because she had very different expectations, I think, when she got to the mansion than what she was met with, the reality she was met with, and he had different priorities than her. You know, they were much more selfish priorities in terms of just being with his family and writing the book, and she didn't anticipate that because he'd always sort of sold her on a bill of goods about them being together. And yet what we found in the end, what we found in episode 14 when she killed Jacob and even at the end helping him with his plan, is at the end of the day her loyalty is still unshakable. It's still the most defining characteristic she has. Now, what's going to happen from here on out, we don't know, because, you know, Joe is seemingly dead. Emma, of course, is holding out hope that he's still alive, that they could be reconciled. But in that case, what are her feelings going to be if they are brought back together? So we'll see. You know, there's a lot that's up in the air for her. She really lost everything at the end of last season. The thing is, you know, I think it would cripple me if I looked at it like, well, she's showing this side of herself or she's showing this side of herself. And, you know, I never think of her as a villain. I never think of it as playing a villain. She's a human to me, and she does extreme things in order to, you know, be with the man she loves or serve the man she loves. Everything she does, even the most horrible things she does, are in service to love. That's where it comes from. And the thing about Emma and her, you know, particular brand of being a sociopath is she doesn't have the same, you know, moral structure that everyone else does. So she would just as happily vacuum the rugs for Joe Carroll as she would slit a throat. And she has, for the most part, the same emotional response to that. That said, I think it's interesting that people think that she's so horrible. She's done the most horrible things because she's only ever killed, really, her mother and Jacob on the show, both of which those lives had huge meaning to her. And those murders were hugely emotional and had great implications. Like, they weren't entirely meaningless. So, as opposed to, you know, Joe, who carves up nameless, faceless women. The fan reactions have been, they were very shocking to me in the beginning. I had to learn to take it as a compliment when strangers on the street would tell me how much they hate me and want me to die, which I get all the time, less so now that I'm blonde, which is kind of a nice perk to changing my hair color, is now people are like, oh, you know, you kind of look like, I know, right? I get that a lot. Yeah, I've learned to take it as a compliment. I never thought that I was going to be the actor that people say gives them nightmares, which I've heard many times. It's kind of great in the sense that it speaks to how well developed the character is, especially because she doesn't do things as violent, as extreme as some of the other characters do. She doesn't have to in order to be terrifying and sort of insidious to people. And, you know, anytime as an actor that you affect people in any way, positively or negatively, that's gratifying, you know, having an impact, knowing that you're doing your job. It's like, but we can't all be the hero. We can't all be the person that the audience falls in love with. You know, hopefully they do find some empathy. Hopefully they get sort of uneasy when they find themselves sympathizing with somebody they consider a monster. But I just love having an effect.